children, how are you? This is CH Padma, English teacher, ZPS School Sicily, Kalamandal, West Godavari district, Andhra Pradesh. I am very happy to meet you all here. Children, if you are promoted to other classes or new school, how do you feel? It is new. Today we are going to the lesson, The House is Not a Home. Supplementary Reader 9th class English. Before we enter into this lesson, let us have a look the overview of the lesson.
Overview of the lesson. Before you read, reading activity, question and answers. In this lesson, we are going to learn story narration, thinking about it, talking about it, and suggested reading. Learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to describe the challenges faced by the author when he switched schools and grew up in a completely new environment. Recognize the impact of the incident that the author experienced as a teenager when he found it difficult to adjust to the new environment. State the importance of participating in extracurricular activities to mingle with new people and make friends. Express the emotions felt by the author when he saw his house being completely in debris after the fire. Summarize the actions taken by the people of the author's new school to help him after the fire. Explain the lesson learned from the chapter A House is Not a Home, that one must be ready to face the challenges of life with courage and not get bogged down by the ups and downs of life. Describe the author's attitude towards his friends and the kindness of the lady who brought his cat to him. Introduction to the lesson. The story highlights the thin difference between a house and a home. While a house is a building where people live, a home is a place where a family lives together, sharing the unique bond of love and earnestness. The narrator's house gets destroyed by fire and he gets a new house. Then he realizes that his home is the one built by the love and affection of his family and loved ones. Love and affection of one's family is precious. Let us move on to the summary of the story. My first year of high school felt awkward. After leaving junior high at the head of my class with all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a freshman. The school was twice as big as my old school, and to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to a different high school. I felt very isolated. Shall I ask you some questions from this passage? Okay, children. Question 1. In the beginning, how does the author fit in the new high school? Here are your options. Option A, happy. Option B, excited. Option C, isolated. Option D, all of the above. Very good, children. Option C is the right answer. Isolated. Let us go to the summary of the story. One Sunday afternoon, long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining room table doing homework. It was a cold and windy fall day and we had a foregoing in our fireplace. As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally swatting at my pen for entertainment's sake. She was never far from me. I had risked her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Suddenly, I smelled something strange and then I noticed it. Smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see groping. We all ran out into the front yard. The whole roof was engulfed in flames. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department. Shall I ask you a question from this passage? Okay, children. Shall I ask a question from this passage? Okay, children. What did the author notice while doing his homework? Here are your options. A. Cat was jumping. B. Cat was sleeping. C. Smoke pouring through the ceiling. D. None. Well done, children. Option C is the right answer. Smoke pouring through the ceiling. Let us turn our heads to the summary of the story. My mother ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and, in a crazed state, ran back into the house. I knew what she was after. My father had died when I was young. Still, I screamed at her, "Mom, no!" I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. It was a fireman. I hadn't even noticed that the street had already filled with fire trucks. He held on to me while other firefighters ran into the house. He knew that I wasn't acting very logically and that if he were to let go, I would run. He was right. "It's all right, they will get her," he said. Now it's time to question you, children. Who caught the author when he rushed after his mother in the burning house? Here are your options. Option A policeman. Option B, a neighbor. Option C, a friend. Option D, a fireman. Very good, children. Option D is the right answer, a fireman. Let us go to the textbook to read summary of the story. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me down in our car. Soon after that, a fireman emerged from our house with my mom in tow. He quickly took her over to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. I ran over and hugged her. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. Our house was almost completely burned down. But then it struck me I hadn't seen my cat. Where was my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. Then all at once it hit me. The new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. The next day, Monday, I went to school. When the fire broke out, I was still wearing the dress I had worn to church that morning. But I had no shoes, so I had to borrow some tennis shoes from my aunt. The clothes I was wearing looked weird. I had no books or homework, and my backpack was gone. Was I destined to be an outcast and a geek all my life? That's what it felt like. I didn't want to grow up. I just wanted to curl up and die. When I walked through what used to be my house after school that day, I was shocked to see how much damage there was. There was no time to grieve. We would have to find a place to live, and I would have to go buy some clothes for school. We had to borrow money from my grandparents. Everything had gone up in smoke. It always seems that bad news spread quickly. The next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. They were milling around me, asking me to hurry up. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, there was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it just for me. They had taken up a collection and brought me school supplies, notebooks, all kinds of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. It was like a Christmas. I was overcome by emotion. People who had never spoken to me before were coming up to me to introduce themselves. I got all kinds of invitations to their houses. Their genuine outpouring of concern, I made friends that day. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it. But this time it was different. I wasn't alone. I was with two of my new friends from school. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same thing. While we sat there on the curb planning my new bedroom, I heard someone walk up to me from behind and say, "Does this belong to you?" When I turned around to see who it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat. Leaped up and grabbed her out of the woman's arms. I held her close to me and cried into that beautiful orange fur. He purred happily. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat, and jumped around. Apparently, my cat had been so afraid by the fire that she ran over a mile away. Her collar had our phone number on it, but our phone had been destroyed and disconnected. This wonderful woman took her in and worked hard to find out whose cat it was. Felt gratitude for my life, my new friends, the kindness of a stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, and so was I. Children, shall we go to the assessment part? In this part, I will ask you some questions. Okay. What was a house? Here are your options. A. A building which people used to live. B. A place. C. A property. D. None of the above. Very good, children. Option A is the right answer. A building which people used to live. Question number 2. What is most precious according to the lesson? Here are your options. A. A well-furnished house. B. A bond of love and affection amongst the members of a family. C. A house. D. None of the above. Well done, children. Option B is the right answer. Option B. A bond of love and affection amongst the members of a family. Question number 3. What changed Arthur lost in the fire? Here are the four options. A. School shoes. B. Uniform. C. Bags and books. D. All of the above. Good. Right answer. All of the above. Question number 4. Who made collection of money for the author? Here are the four options. Option A, the students in the new high school. Option B, the teachers in the old primary school. Option C, neighbors. Option D, social workers. Very good. Option A is the right answer. The students in the new high school. Okay, shall we move on to think about it? 1. What does the author notice one Sunday afternoon? What is his mother's reaction? What does she do? 2. Why does she break down in tears after the fire? 3. Why is the author deeply embarrassed the next day in school? Which words show his fear and insecurity? 4. The cat and the author are very good friends of each other. How was this been shown in the story? Where was the cat after the fire? Who brings it back and how? 5. What actions of the schoolmates change the author's understanding of life and people and comfort him emotionally? How does his loneliness vanish and how does he start participating in life? Talk about it. Have any of your classmates, schoolmates had an experience like the one described in the story where they needed help? Describe how they were helped. Suggested reading. Her story so far. Tales of the Girl Child in India, edited by Monica Das. Modern Hindi Stories, edited by Indu Jain. Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan. Okay, children, hope you are all enjoyed this story. Go through the textbook and learn many things.